Everybody, and welcome back. Today, we actually have a story, court kind of related from Ireland, and I'm going to introduce you to this lovely lady here, who's actually a Kardashian, kind of not the Kardashians you're thinking of. This is the notorious Barbie Kardashian. And to start this off, a lot of you probably have never heard of this person. Some have. She did rise to some serious international notoriety a number of years ago, actually. She was all over YouTube. With some seriously big YouTubers covering this individual who got released from jail. I think it was yesterday or possibly the day before. You may have seen this person out and about there. I'm going to pop the picture up on the screen so you get a good idea, get a good mental image there, and you'll see what we're dealing with here. So
Hello?
that
Retribution.
this is Barbie
So, I
Kardashian.
don't view myself as being a risk to the public in general, but just certain members of the public. My mother, Maria Gentile, my father, Alessio Gentile, also the governor of Limerick Prison. I don't, if I can't find I don't know where my parents are, but if I can't find my parents, I will murder, that retribution. So, I don't.
So that is all we have of that clip right now. So that actually came from a news agency here in Ireland called Gript Media. They're kind of a alternative news, something or other. They're kind of more on the conservative side, whatever. And I just want to point out before we kind of get stuck into the meat and veg of this. That is such a bad choice of words. Meat and two veg of this whole situation. This isn't intended to be in any way like anti-trans or political. You know, my views on all of that is my own business, and yours are your own business. This is about the individual person and the individual situation, and whether or not enough is being done to protect this person and also to protect people from this person. So as for language, you know, whether I say she or individual or whatever, it doesn't really matter. I don't care. I genuinely don't care what people, you know, describe themselves are or what they want to live as long as it doesn't impact me and the general public, then I don't care. Like, that's each to their own. Somebody wants to identify as a post box, fine. I won't be putting my letters in you, but grand, do what you got to do. So anyway, let's get into kind of the story of who this person is. So Barbie Kardashian has been in the news a lot in the past couple of days, and a lot of it is because I'm just going to say Barbie from now on, so we don't have to like pussyfoot around the she, he, shit, whatever. I don't care. Barbie was released a couple of days ago. Now, Barbie was in jail for some very serious stuff. So she made threats against her mother. Now, I have to be very careful with my language here because obviously YouTube, this is a minefield, this video. And I've been debating with myself whether or not to cover it, but I do think it's incredibly important. But it's an absolute minefield for me in terms of language. So please bear with me and try to figure out what I'm saying if I can't say the exact words. So the three things that she was accused of threatening against her mother, that she was ultimately locked up for a significant period of time for, are three words that I am not allowed really say on YouTube. So I have to be very, very careful. So she threatened to do the following three things to her mother, and like genuine serious threats, right? The first one is to tor, and I'm going to pause, chur her mother. The next one, right, it's like the fruit that wine is made from. If you take the G off the front of it, her own mother, or Barbie's mother. Now, bearing in mind that Barbie, obviously, I mean, and I don't mean that to be disrespectful, but is clearly a transgender woman, but still has the necessary equipment to perform that horrible act, if you follow what I'm laying down. So that's that side of it. And the third thing then was to unalive her mother. So these are the three threats that she made, and they were considered very credible threats. And she was locked up for, I believe it was 5 years, 5.5 years, I think was the official term that she was given. And obviously, you know, here in Ireland, as with most countries in the Western world, we do have like a parole system, early release system for good behavior. Now, the behavior side of things, this is where this all comes into question. Should this person have been released? I personally think absolutely not, based on a number of factors. Now, we have to be very clear about what was found to be true or not, or at least what she was found to be culpable for or not. And that is vitally important because, of course, we can't we can't hold something against somebody if we're to trust in our legal system, which I know a lot of people don't. But if we're to trust in it, we have to give it our full trust, even if they get it wrong sometimes. So when this person was initially found guilty of making those credible threats against their mother, Barbie was sent to a women's prison. That did not go well because she made similar threats to a female inmate at that prison and to an officer at that prison. So as a result of that, Barbie was transferred to the Limerick men's prison and was put into a special protection unit. Now that's for obvious reasons, okay? So what are those reasons ultimately? Like, number one, because of the kind of threats that Barbie was making against people, it could either get her into serious bother, or obviously those threats could be carried out and we'd be dealing with a whole other kettle of fish there. The other reason was because obviously a transgender woman in a men's prison is going to be at huge risk of assault and, other horrible things, right? And what we need to, and I know people are probably sitting there thinking, good, stick her in there and deal with the consequences, right? Okay, I understand maybe why people feel that way, especially against somebody who's got an unbelievable history of violence, like a serious criminal record, all violent and sexual related offenses. So I understand why people would feel that way. But we need to also remember that, number one, people do get put in prison wrongly, it happens, or they get put in prison for something that maybe wasn't as bad as what it seems and things like that. And again, it comes down to the trust in that justice or legal system, which is that if, God forbid, any of you watching or anybody that we know and love did something stupid and got locked up, we wouldn't want those things happening to them. Now, this person is clearly very, very mentally disturbed, right? In so many ways, has been, you know, it, this person has multiple personality disorder and a whole lot of personality related issues, and clearly very serious mental health issues. There's no question about it. So this is still a human being. This is still a person who is at risk. Now, would I want this person babysitting for me? Hell no, of course not. I wouldn't want this person around me in any way, because this is a dangerous individual right here. This is a violent, dangerous, sexually violent person as well. I don't want that person anywhere near me, but I also don't want that person unnecessarily suffering. And I think I just wanted to get that part of it out of the way, that it's so easy to sit back and say, yeah, throw it to the bears, whatever. But this is somebody who's suffering with a serious mental health issue on so many levels. And if this individual does terrible stuff, then yeah, it should be held accountable for it, absolutely. But in the same way as everybody else. So that's just to clear up that side of it. There's no hate in this. Do I hate this person? Kind of, yeah, because of the horrible stuff that this person does. Yeah, sure. I hate this person because of what they did, not because of who they are. I don't. Dude wants to put on a dress. I don't care. I don't care. You be fabulous. Go be zesty over there. I'm not interested. I don't care. I don't hate you. It doesn't change my view on, well, it might change my view maybe in certain ways, but like, I'm not going to be hating on somebody for that. Whatever. Whatever. Put on whatever you want. Live however you want. So anyway, transferred over to the men's prison. And then there was an audit done on where Barbie was being held. This was, I think, earlier this year. So Barbie was being held, I think it's in the D1 wing or the D wing of Limerick Prison, which is a special protection unit, the highest of special protection units. So, for example, another inmate that's there is somebody who, ratted on one of the most notorious gangsters in Ireland, right? Like real high level stuff that, like, any chance he'd be bumped off, right? So that's the kind of person that we're talking about here. Also, people like ex police officers or detectives or whatever that were involved in going after, certain very dangerous people would absolutely be put into protection. And I'm not talking about the standard prison protection for, CSAs. I think most people know what that is. People who do things that hurt children. That's a different kind of unit entirely. This is like the like absolute top protection unit. So this audit was done, and it was found that she was living in what was described as dungeon-like conditions. And I know it'll revert back to people going, good. And I can definitely understand that. Like, I mean, there's a limit to what we can achieve, right? So if somebody has made these decisions in life that has resulted in them having to be literally protected from everybody else, and also to keep them away to protect everybody else from them. How far do you go? What, are we going to make like a hotel room for somebody like that? No, of course not. So anyway, I'm going to go into those news stories in a minute. I'm just kind of doing the pre-rant at the moment. So in this video here, this happened, I think it was yesterday. It was just after the release, right? And our National Police Service and Garda Síochána, which in English means the protectors of the peace. So we call them Gardaí. So our police officers don't have the word police on their jackets or their cars. It just says Garda, right? So our Gardaí, which means multiple guards, they had very grave concerns about this individual being released at this time. So early um, in the 5 or so year sentence, number one. Number two, the threats that were made against a female inmate and a prison officer, which I will just clarify, Barbie was found not guilty of those things when, when it was brought up the chain. I don't know the details of that. I don't know if it was made up. I don't know if it was a technicality. I genuinely don't know. But all you have to do is look at this person's history, right? So, like 12 previous convictions, I think, before this of harassment, assault, mostly violent, and some sexual offenses. So, like, this is a person with a seriously dangerous rap sheet, okay? How this individual was left into a women's prison with the general population is a mystery to me. And I'm sure I'll get some hate for that, trans woman's a woman, whatever. Yeah. Okay, fine, right? Let's say I accept that. Grant, right? I'm not even going to get into my views one way or the other. So let's say, okay, trans women are women, they go to women's prison, fine. But this is a trans woman. This is a woman with a penis and testicles who has a violent criminal sexual history. So this is somebody who's an incredibly dangerous person to have around vulnerable women. Simple as that. It matters not what makeup this person wears or whether or not they have big fake jubblies. It makes absolutely no difference whatsoever. This is a violent sexual criminal being released into a prison with women. That was one of the dumbest things. I just, what's the answer? Do we set up a separate jail for trans people? Like, I don't think it's necessary because I don't think we have the volume of individuals that would make that necessary. So obviously being put into a special protection unit for, we'll just say for the sake of it, her own protection is the safest option, right? Sure, it might not be the most lavish surrounds, but it's definitely the one that's going to keep you alive and keep you safe from others and keep others safe from you. So we'll have a look at that story here in a minute. And now we turn to the up to date, the recent stuff. There's a good chance that Barbie might be getting picked up and put back in jail, basically, because immediately after leaving jail, what did she do? She broke the very simple rules that she was given for her release. And the Gardaí are now pushing for her to be arrested, brought before court, and to have the suspended portion of her sentence at a minimum reinstated. This is so serious that the Limerick Prison Service have had to go on a higher alert level. They had to have special protection for certain individuals because, as you saw in the video here, she made direct threats towards the governor of the jail. Like, literally, she said that if she couldn't find her parents to them, that she was going to do it to somebody else. Now, this video cuts off, and Grift Media have it all behind a paywall, and I am not paying $30 a month to go and watch just this. Right? It'll pop up eventually. We'll get it eventually, right? But what I'm saying is, she's literally saying that if she doesn't find her parents to do that thing, that she's going to find the governor and somebody else to do that thing. Like, that's an immediate breach, right? So part of her conditions of release was that she had to live in a specific place where Gardaí could monitor her. And the other thing was that there was to be no assaultive behavior. Anybody who watches regular court content will know exactly the kind of conditions that we see all the time, right? So, okay, you guys can't hear that for some reason. See, I'm having this problem with my OBS right now, so it's playing on my side. It's not playing on yours. It maybe the sound was recording. I think I need to update my OBS. But basically, Barbie saying that she's not a risk to the general public except for certain individuals, i.e., her parents, the governor, and I think one other person as well. So this is a very violent, dangerous person. It's just as simple as that. There's no two ways about it. Right. So now we're going to head over to this Irish Times article. I don't know what's going on with my OBS. Everything's jumping around, so just forgive me if it keeps doing it. See, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, so transgender prisoner understood to be Barbie Kardashian held in dungeon-like unit. This is according to, as said, the Irish Times. Um, so individual is understood to be named Barbie Kardashian, who was jailed in 2023 for threatening to do those things that I mentioned earlier. And now we get into the story. So this was back in July. So, transgender prisoner who was found in squalid conditions in a dungeon-like unit of Limerick prison said an anti-torture report. The Council of Europe's Committee for the Prevention of Torture, the CPT, said that the inmate, who is referred to as Prisoner X, was kept in near total isolation in the high protection unit of Limerick's men's prison with minimal access to natural light and ventilation. The CPT report did not name the prisoner, but it is understood to be a Brazilian named Barbie Kardashian, who at the time of the inspection in 2024 was the only transgender prisoner in the custody of the Irish the Irish Prison Service. The Kardashian case has caused controversy in the past due to her history of violent offending and concerns about the threat she poses to other inmates and staff. It goes on to say, Kardashian I don't know why it's doing this. Oh, it's driving me crazy. Kardashian was initially held in Limerick Women's Prison, where she was accused of threatening to unalive or cause serious harm to a fellow woman prisoner and a prison officer in 2023. She was transferred then to Limerick Men's Prison following a directive from the then minister, Helen McKenty. Last year, sorry, I don't have my glasses either. I forgot to bring my glasses up from home. Last year, she was acquitted of threatening the woman prisoner and prison officer, but remains in the men's prison serving the remainder of her original sentence. Kardashian, 25, is housed at the High Protection Unit on the D1 wing of the prison where inmates who require special protection are kept. Others on the wing include Jonathan Dowell, the former Sinn Féin councillor, who gave evidence against Jerry Hutch. So that's the guy, anyway. In this report, CPT described the high protection unit as dungeon-like. Oh, no shit, like, and said it is concerned about the number of prisoners who are held on 22-hour lockup and hence we're in a situation of de facto solitary confinement. And I've been in a situation where I've had to move prisoners from solitary and from high protection, and it takes a lot of staff, takes a lot of planning and moving around. So if you've got a lot of people, it's impossible to make it work for nobody else can be out or on the halls when that person's being moved. So it's tricky. It's really, really tricky. In its report, the committee said it was particularly struck by the situation of a transgender woman who was living in squalid conditions with minimal access to natural light and ventilation. She's kept in her cell for 23 hours a day, it said. At the end of their visit, the committee members made an immediate observation that the inmate should be placed in a better cell. She should be given more time out of her cell and a meaningful regime of activities. Now, that I do agree with. Maybe not so much the out of the cell part because the logistics of it are tricky and we only have so many resources for each person, right? But definitely when it comes to activities, you know, like for me, like after my motorcycle crash, hospital was fine because I was off my head on painkillers that they were pumping into me constantly, and I had people coming and going to visit me. I had my iPad. I was able to watch movies and talk to people, and there was new people coming and going and chatting to doctors and nurses, etc. So I was mentally stimulated. But once I got home, and you're kind of like sitting in a room on your own in bed for another month and a half or whatever, you get bored really, really quickly. And for me, especially somebody who I'm always up and out doing something, always, it just keeps me going. Um, and so, yeah, I do agree. Like activities are really important to keep people mentally stimulated and to stop them from spiraling. So, in a document responding to the recommendations, the state said that the prisoner was able to use all services available within the prison. It said work is ongoing to refurbish that wing. Elsewhere in the report, CPT was highly critical of the overcrowding affecting most Irish prisons. And that is a big issue here, like overcrowding, which has resulted in mentally ill prisoners and a pregnant inmate having to sleep on the floor. Like, that's unacceptable. Um, Regardless of why the person is there or whatever, it makes no difference. Like, we are what considered one of the more modern, up-to-date, front-facing countries in the Western world. We need to act like it, and that's not acceptable. And I get it. People really dislike this person, and others like her that are in there for similar things, but You're talking about a human being either way, a very troubled human being. So that's not acceptable. A pregnant woman on the floor, doesn't matter who she is or why she's there, not acceptable. So I do agree with that. Um, it was particularly critical of Clover Hill Prison in Dublin, where inmates are subject to a degrading regime involving squalid cells shared by up to four men sleeping on mattresses on the floor. Taken together, this situation, in the committee's view, may well be described as inhuman and degrading treatment. The Irish Human Rights and Equality Commission called the findings harrowing and called for the state to urgently ratify the UN optional protocol to the Convention Against Torture. Okay, so to be clear, I agree with the vast majority of what's being said there. Okay, we are considered a modern, wealthy, kind of upstanding country, right? But in the past few years, we've let it slip big time, wasting money on stupid things. We are now at a situation in this country where the average person my age, right, mid 30s, has to live with their parents because they literally can't afford to find a house to rent. I recently saw a room, a single bedroom for rent, not far from where I live, for €900. So that's about 1,100 US dollars. Imagine that, right? For one room in a shared house, 1,100 bucks a month, when the average income is maybe 2 grand a month, right? For somebody on a considered like a lower income. Okay. So the average house, like, 2 bedroom townhouse in a small village far from the city, is about 1,700, 1,800 bucks a month. Like, it's absolutely gone out of control in this country. Then on top of that, our hospitals are absolutely knackered, right? Like when I was in hospital, and there was like I had to keep going back. Just stuff kept happening, and I'd have to go back or whatever. But because I was like an outpatient at that point, it was quicker for me. I'd go in, I'd be brought straight up to a ward and be dealt with. But somebody who had to go into accident and emergency or the ER, in other countries, it's a minimum like 12 to 18 hour wait, right? And I know that's the way it is for a lot of countries now, but it's been like that in Ireland for the longest time. And I remember one of the nights I did have to go in there. I was brought up by ambulance because I had some complications, basically couldn't move and couldn't breathe properly and stuff. And I had to go to hospital, and I was sat there for 14 hours, I think it was 14 hours. And it was probably 6 hours before I was even asked any questions. So, like, you do your little triage thing with a nurse. So, like, it is gone out of control here. Housing is in an awful situation here. Um, I mean, we have social housing, but it's so limited and it takes so long to get it now. And like, and a lot of it is because of like the immigration issue in Ireland is out of control at the moment. Like it really is. And there's no hate against anybody there. It's just we're not equipped for it at the levels that we're experiencing it right now. So housing is at a premium. Everything's at a premium here at the moment. It's out of control, including jails. It's crazy. Like it really is bad. So hopefully we can kind of start working on getting things fixed, not just in the prisons, but right across the board, because people cannot afford to live in this country anymore. Like that's why I moved to Australia when I did, because back then we were on that same uptrend where everything was out of control expensive. There was no work for anybody. You literally couldn't find anywhere to live. You just gotta go to another country. So I don't blame people for coming here when they need to. So we move on to another article, which for whatever reason is not updating. Yeah, my OBS, I need to reset it. So I'm just going to read the article. It doesn't really matter if it's up on the screen for you guys, I think. But hold on, make myself bigger. My hair is so bad. Oh my God, I'm never going back to that barber again, like ever. I should have known when I saw the Labrador tied up outside that he probably didn't have the best vision in the world. Barbie Kardashian freed from Limerick prison under strict conditions. So this was just a couple of days ago now. So we're up to date now. Um, Convicted transgender prisoner Barbie Kardashian, who a court heard posed a significant threat to the general public, has been released from Limerick prison, where she'd been serving a sentence for making threats of all those things that I told you. Kardashian, in her 20s, is to be subject to a 2-year post supervision release order previously imposed at Limerick Circuit Court. Now, here's where this individual is going to run into some problems, because Barbie already broke it on national TV literally mere minutes after being released. Um, Kardashian was born a male named Gabriel Alejandro Gentil, but changed name by deed poll. Okay, and now identifies as female. Served 2 years and 6 months of a 5.5 year sentence, of which the final 12 months were suspended. The Detective Garda police told Kardashian's 4 day trial in March 2023 that Gardaí had grave concerns about the defendant's motivation to carry out the threats against her mother. Excuse me. Speaking outside prison today, Kardashian was unrepentant about the threats, but insisted she was not a danger to the public. She added that she hoped to undergo gender affirming surgery. The trial heard Kardashian had multiple personality disorder and sorry, I correct myself. Not that she has multiple personality disorder. She has multiple personality disorders and has previously alleged she suffered sexual and physical abuse as a child. She was placed in state care aged 12 under a High Court special care order. And that in Ireland, I know we see it in the States a lot because obviously it's a lot more people. And, we see it here in the court world a lot. Very unusual in Ireland, very rare. So she must have been, in fairness, raised in a really, really bad situation. She was convicted of 7 counts of making threats against her mother while living at Cuva House, a secure residential care facility in Limerick for high-risk youth. Judge Tom O'Donnell, now retired, described it as one of the most complex cases of his career. The Kardashian was unrepentant about wanting to do those things to her mother, detailing plans involving boiling water and a screwdriver. That's messed up, man. A probation report cited major concerns that she was unremorseful and posed a high risk of serious reoffending. 5 psychiatrists assess her, all warning of a real danger she could act on her violent fantasies. So, clearly, this is an incredibly dangerous person. She has 15 previous convictions. Sorry, I thought it was 12. All for violent offences, including sexual assault at the age of 13. Judge O'Donnell said she displayed narcissistic tendencies and a high level of venom towards her mother while showing a complete lack of remorse. As part of her release conditions, she has agreed to live at an address approved by the Guardian Probation Services, notify them of any changes and disclose new relationships. Any breach could see her return to prison under Section 99 order. The judge also warned the defendant that attempts to communicate with her mother or father would trigger this order. Judge O'Donnell warned the state agencies must heed the stark warnings and probation reports, noting Kardashian's vulnerable background, but also grave concerns about her release. So you kind of have to ask yourself then, with all of that being said, right, at the very least, was it a good idea to release this person early? Probably not. Could you, so people in the States and people who've seen parole hearings and stuff here on YouTube, could you imagine somebody with that history and the same offending while in a secure facility, while in prison, being released early on what was already a fairly short sentence? I think not. Barbie Kardashian faces, but I think the reason that she's been released early is because she was a pain in the ass in prison, truth be told. Because of the fact that, she had to be kept in the D1 wing, and that was probably a pain for them. And it probably brought a little bit too much light to the whole situation. So yeah, I think that's probably a huge reason. So Barbie Kardashian faces arrest. So we're even more up to date now. This is the most recent. Barbie Kardashian faces arrest as prison governor and staff member forced to take security measures. Dangerous thug Barbie Kardashian is facing arrest as a prison governor and officer are forced to take security measures amid threats she allegedly uttered. But I mean, she did, like we saw it on the video. Kardashian walked free from Limerick prison on Wednesday and was recorded making murderous threats against her parents and the governor of Limerick prison. We understand that Gardaí are also probing over threatening remarks allegedly made, including towards a female prison officer. And so it just goes on. So prison authorities believe that she's already breached her conditions of release and should be hauled before a court. And if convicted of such threats, could face a maximum penalty of 12 years in prison. So, and they've even put it out here that if you have any direct involvement or whatever with her and that happens to call that number or whatever, just kind of cruising through it. So basically, it just kind of goes over the same situation that we talked about earlier. And so evidently this person is a threat to the public, is specifically a threat to her parents, to the governor of the prison, and I would say is just generally not fit to be in society yet. I think this is a person who needs very, very, very tight supervision at the very least, if released. And I'm sure that is in place. Don't get me wrong, but it would need to be very stringent. And any breach, just boom, straight in, no messing around, just no warnings. Just like, okay, this person definitely, in my view, should not have been released just yet. I think bit more time, a bit more definitely care and help to get her to a point where she's safe to be in public, and not just for the public, but also for herself, right? Because somebody like this is a big target anyway, because there is a lot of hate out there. Thankfully, Ireland isn't too bad. We're pretty chill with most people. We don't really give a shit. Like we keep to ourselves and we leave others do whatever they want to do. But when it goes too far and when you start interfering with people's lives, that's when Irish people don't mess around, right? We just kind of go, okay, enough's enough. And so this person is a huge target in society for a lot of what's being said and is a danger to people in society as well. So, anyway, that is the story of the wonderful Barbie K. Let me know in the comment section. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Like, I'm happy for people to share whatever thoughts they have. All I ask is just keep the language respectful. Even if what you're saying maybe isn't grand, that's your own business. Like, I'm open to hear everybody's opinion. But just try to keep the language to a minimum because YouTube does filter that out like quite a bit. So just bear that in mind. That because I always get people commenting saying, "You deleted my comment, you pro trans, whatever." I'm like, hold on, no, I didn't. It's because you used the F got word or whatever, and YouTube flagged it. I didn't. I don't delete comments. I don't care. So yeah, just bear that in mind. So anyway, lads and lassies, there we have it. Thank you so much for joining me. Make sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And we'll catch you in the next one. It's on chat.